have you on here because you're a very special person who is organizing this incredible once in a lifetime retreat to your beloved India. And I know you've done some sharing about what this retreat is on your social media platforms, and you just recently did a video leading people through what some of the content of this workshop is. But I also know, and we have a little group of people that have already registered, but I also know people have some questions about a little bit more about why India, why this retreat, why now, what they can expect, and of course, some of the pragmatics and logistics around what it's like to be going to India. So I thought it would be wonderful to have you on here to share with everybody your heart behind this retreat. And if there's any way that I can jump in to answer any of the logistical stuff about India, since I grew up there, I should have led with that. Then this could be useful for the people that are going, and for anybody else that's in the wings who's interested and wants to join us in November of this year. So maybe you can start by
First. November 1st to the 9th, yes. And also, I mean, I think first and foremost, the whole reason that we're coming together to do this, thanks to the amazing miracle and synchronicity of first me having this concept of like, I've been wanting to do a retreat in India forever. And then I don't know if you remember, we had this conversation and I was like, I really want to do this retreat in Jaipur. I love Jaipur. And then you were like, well, people have to get to, how are they going to get to Jaipur? And then it led to one thing led to another. And you're like, my mom. So maybe you can tell people about your amazing mother and how really this was divinely ordained and how this whole thing unfolded.
Yeah, I think before we even get into that, one of the things that I first want to say is, you've had a long-standing relationship with India for the last, was it 25 years or so?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. 27 years.
27 years. Oh, and number nine?
Oh my God. Yes. Because 98 was my first trip here.
Yeah. Okay, so you've had a long-standing relationship with India. You've been going for years. You've been living there the last 4 years. And I just want to start with saying how fortunate we are that you are bringing us to India with you. And, we've had glimpses into your experiences and your life in India. And over the last, through your Project 40s, your inner circle, on your social media platforms, in your other online communities. So we've had glimmers into like the magical, mystical, maddening, deeply provocative, profoundly paradoxical, breathtaking country that India is. But now we get to go with you in person and to experience the colors and the sights and the sounds and the smells and also the heart that is India, because it's such a, it has such heart. And I also want to say that we are so fortunate that you are presenting it to us and us to it in this really sacred alchemical container, like all the beautiful alchemical containers that you are so expert at always creating. And it's going to be steeped in all this really profound Jungian work and, your work as a Jungian psychoanalyst and also the 9 planetary archetypes, which is, and your work as an astrologer. So I can't think of a more wonderful way for us to, to experience India because what you've created sort of punctuates the divinity that like runs through the fabric of that country that I think a lot of people don't realize. So I wanted to lead by that because I don't know that people who don't know you yet understand how spectacular your work is and how much this country means to you and why experiencing it with you will be even more meaningful to the rest of us going. And on top of that, I wanted to shout out sort of your partner in all of this, the person, the mastermind expert, like just dream travel agent of all travel agents, Roma Satara, who happens to be my mother.
Yes.
And I am, I would say that I'm biased, but I'm really not because I've had a front row seat into her life. She's an iconic, well respected, well known travel agent who has been creating some of the most masterful, unique, sophisticated, trips and itineraries for a wide array of clients, whether it's the individual traveler, small groups, or big multinational corporations, people who come to India with different needs and different desires and different budgets. And she really understands the heart of each traveler, and she is so industrious and so detail oriented, like Virgo Libra, like confluence at its very best, like a penchant for beauty and an eye for detail. And she is the kind of person who, if it hasn't been done, even better, she'll do it. And if there is something you want, she'll make it happen. She's extremely resourceful. Um, so there's a lot of ingenuity that goes into the experiences that she creates for her travelers. And so with you guys being this incredible rock star duo, cannot think of like a better way to make our foray into India, especially for people who haven't been, but even if you have been, right? And I will say that I grew up in India. I lived there till I was 19, but
Mhm.
experience it through your eyes and your work and your teachings, and to re-experience it with my mother and you doing this together and creating like the itinerary of all itineraries, might I add. Um, it's going to be a real showstopper and a really like profound transformative time, I think, for everybody that's going. And the best part is when you were conceiving of this retreat, the start date fell on one of the most auspicious day in all of India, which is
Yes.
Festival of Diwali. And it ends on a very auspicious day, which is your birthday, November 9th. So can it get any better?
That's when we knew it was divinely ordained. Once that fell into place, because the odds of even getting these bookings, were like, it was really a miracle. It was really like of the gods, because we thought there's no way we're going to get bookings during the busiest, highest season of the year in our dream hotels, the most iconic, legendary, award winning hotels. How are we ever going to pull this off? And then when it started happening, we were like, all right, it's on. What a blessing. So thank you so much for that beautiful intro, by the way. Yeah, you really, wow, you're so masterful with words, and really like just helping me to even to really see how the vision has unfolded and to have an even deeper appreciation for all the magic that has come together now that we're really in the thick of it. And I just want to say that, yeah, I mean, the theme of this retreat, Secret of the Golden Flower, has also been a dream of mine to bring together my two passions, my East meets West passions, which is my work in a nutshell, which is, yes, my, 27 years of yearly pilgrimages to India until I moved here in 2020, and then all of my Jungian work in the West. And I knew that there was a way for them to come together as this, amazing alchemy and confluence, but it's all like in the right timing, right? And so this year it's really like, it was really meeting you and your mother that then I knew that the birth was happening, and all of the nines, the nine planets, a 9 year of my oh my God, and we're going into a 9 year next year. We're preparing for a 9 year. I just realized next year's a nine. Nine is the number of completion.
Mm.
So, and what I want to say about, the theme of the nine planets, why I'm infusing that into, I mean, this itinerary without even an astrological theme could carry itself, but I wanted to really share the beauty of how when you come to Mother India, and I don't experience this in the West, this is something very unique to India. Like it's maybe 10% in the West of what I experience in terms of how alive the planetary energies are in your day. That's when it really became real for me, because I knew it as a concept, like, yes, Sunday is ruled by the sun and Monday is ruled by the moon. But the way these symbols show up here in real time when you live here, like you can't not live the planets when you're here. It's something very interesting like that. Like they're in your face. It's almost like disrespectful if you don't first honor the deity of the day of that planetary influence. So I
Mm.
thought, I really want people to experience that. I mean, that came to me as a gift from Mother India, like the experiential, because you need the experiential version for it to become
Yeah.
something. So I thought that's such a beautiful, alembic for this work. And then to bring in and to infuse all the beauty of the temples and the meditation and the the energy bodies, the energy systems that come through India. I'm trying to avoid very cliche things like I don't want to say we're going to do chakras and we're going to do meditation and yoga, but it's like it's going to be a much more subtle, integrated body, mind, spirit
Mm-hmm.
version that we live in real time, which is what I always do. I never do something that's like put on top of you, cookie cutter, like some Westerner trying to be all like spiritual. I really do it. I really meet people where they're at, and I really do it in the context of real time and the real living energies of where we are. That's why the setting is so important. That's why, we really curated these locations. It's not just that we wanted beautiful, fancy hotels. We wanted iconic fairy tale, like the setting had to really support
Mm-hmm.
the inner work. And also to make sure that everyone is completely taken care of so that they can focus exclusively on the inner work and feel completely in that womb of Mother India in a way that no other country can give you that feeling of total being so nurtured and loved and cared for just in the wind, just in the sound of the birds, just in the smell of the jasmine in the air. Like there's just no other place on earth where you land and you just feel loved and protected and nurtured by the mother.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. That's so beautiful. And I think that the people that know you and that work with you already know how adept you are and how skillful you are at meeting people where they're at and, helping them to interface with the archetypes both within their own lives and the ones that are working on us, externally. And you're so right. These energies are somehow so alive in India. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the kind of awe-inspiring, intricate spiritual history that the country has, juxtaposed against, the fact that it's this like really rapidly advancing tech hub in the world. Plus, there's, it's the most multilingual country in the world. It's the most populous country in the world. I mean, they call it the Indian subcontinent for a reason. It's the seventh
Mhm.
largest, I think, by area. And there's so much diversity and there's such a long storied history. It's one of the oldest civilizations, and the contributions that India has made, I don't think even people realize to the world. And with all of that there, there's such a rich tapestry, within which and against which, like life is happening. And so to
Yeah.
have you do your work kind of in the heart of that takes your already exquisite work to the next level. And I think also what makes it different is that you're not just someone else that's like leading a retreat to India, like you were saying, where it's yoga and chakras and Ayurvedic food, and I'm not, that's all so beautiful, right? It's
Right,
the place.
right, right. Like, I don't mean to knock that. Yes, yes.
Not knocking that. But I think that you have, like, I think one of the things that sets it apart is your love and your deep love for India and how it has been your spiritual home. And you have a really subtle understanding of the country in ways that I think, you know, many people don't. And like I always tell you this, that it has been such a gift for me personally because I'm reacquainting myself with my country through you, through your eyes, through, your experiences, through your teachings, through your love. And so it makes me proud as someone who gets to go home and gets to do it with you and through you. I couldn't think of a better like person to shepherd us through these 9 days. Um, and I wanted to ask, you know, if there was one thing that you would want, or one or two things that you would want people to know about, if they're not sure, or if they're kind of curious, but if there's one or two things that you would want people to know about why why India, why now, and why this theme, the secret of the golden flower, like what does it mean for someone that may not know? Um, is there something that you would, what comes to mind?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Well, I think we all feel something is in the air right now, don't we? We can really feel, I mean, we've been on a precipice for a long time, but I think this feeling of something in the air, something that is pushing us all spiritually to the next level, like it's a time where if COVID taught us nothing, it's that we've got to do all the dreams now. Like we can't have some future like it's there's no later, do it later. Like whatever the soul is calling for, I think we have to respond to that call. And never before, I mean, even though obviously I've been in the profession of healing work, since the 90s, since I first started coming to India, but even in all of these years, I've never felt people so desperate for the soul. I think we're just everything in modern life with technology at accelerating at such a mind-blowing pace that it's like we have to fight for our souls. Like we have to fight for we're it's like we're all desperately craving something that existed in the past when things were more simple, things were more grounded, things were more of the earth, things were more of the spirit of the soul. And even, I think that's initially why I first came to India is I wanted to feel the spirit. I wanted to feel something like timeless, ancient, and soulful and connect to the gods like in an experiential way, not in a theoretical way. And I touch beauty and that's got its own divine essence, of course. Like, there's many places you can travel in this world where it's like the nature is very divine. But I knew there was something else I was craving that was like more of a timeless, you know, um, like another realm, like another loka. I knew I was looking for this experience of like something that felt like I was hanging out with the gods, And I think many people who come to India and have even just a taste of that, even if they don't know what it is, that's what brings people back. And I feel like we're needing and craving this more than ever right now because, like I said, we have to fight so hard to get a feeling of something that hasn't been homogenized, something that hasn't been overly, whitewashed, modernized. Like even when we go to hotels, like these nice hotels that used to be really like unique and beautiful in the West, they all look the same now. They all look like a Marriott to me. So this is a big part of why I was like, I am desperately, I'm just clinging to anything that still has soul and it still has the feminine, still has the Venus, the creative, the Jupiter, the Saturn, all the best of all the planets that, give us life, give us inspiration. And most importantly, the soulfulness. So that's why I love Jungian psychology. It's a soulful psychology, and he was the pioneer of going in and reclaiming his soul. He had reached the pinnacle of worldly success and he was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. I'm empty. So that's why as we're about to do a Red Book P40, he, he said, I've got to go and find out what is inside of me. And, this is maybe the parallel of the timing with this retreat, because these things are always bigger than like, I'm just an instrument of this becoming something. Jung had his vision before he did the Red Book of, this like sea of blood, basically. He had these horrific visions. And he thought, what is this? My God. And then he heard this voice inside him that was like, it's not a vision. I mean, it's not a fantasy. This is going to come to pass. And it was because of that he said, I've got to do this inner journey. I've got to see there's obviously something in the unconscious that is not just personal biographical material. If I can have access to this, well, first we have to say, of course, it was a foreshadowing, right, of World War I. Now, I'm not trying to be grim and say we're on the precipice of World War III, but I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, to be real, right? We're doing this on a Sun-Saturn opposition. So not to bring in fear into this equation, but more to say that the world is in distress. There's no way to sugarcoat that. And there's no reason to deny that because we can use that reality check to say, okay, the freedom that we have right now, still, the opportunities we have, the access we have to experience the soul, to experience beauty, to take an adventure, to take a chance, we have to do it now. Like, we can't be like, oh, I'll do that in 10 years. We don't know what the situation is going to be in 10 years, or even next year for that matter. That, I think, was the big lesson of the Saturn Pluto conjunction, right? With the lockdown, that we can't, we can't put things off. So however I can be an instrument of that to help people go on soul journeys, to have a more expansive experience of their soul, to leave their comfort zone, to tap into the divine, to commune with the divine on a daily basis, that's what I'm here for.
That's so beautiful. I mean, we should never put off our soul work, but more than ever now, because of what you're saying, is that the state of it's just the state of affairs right now, whether it's spiritually, geopolitically, climate-wise. I mean, there is just there now more than ever, I think, is when, I don't think it's perfunctory. I don't think it's navel gazing. I don't think it's self-indulgent to do this soul work. And I think it's more imperative now, than any other time, for us to sort of like to reclaim that part of ourselves, and to make the descent, and to go deeper, and to connect with the symbols in our life, and to have and India is will offer us so much food for thought and soul, and food for the soul. And of course, there is going to be sensory overload in some ways, like I was saying earlier, with the smells and the sights and the sounds and the colors. But I think it works on you in ways that you don't even realize until you've left. It's the kind of land that, works on you, in kind of in phases and in waves beyond just the kind of 3D sensory input that you have. So it's like different than going to, like, I mean, there's beauty in going anywhere to have a retreat and to do this kind of soul work, but to do it in the hustle, bustle, beauty, madness, magic, heart and soul of India, is really special. And I also just wanted to add too, and I know you and I have talked about this before. I think sometimes people have this kind of skewed or reductive, or just an incomplete idea of what India might be like. For some people, it's just ashrams and yoga, and for some people, it's just poverty, the kind of romanticism of poverty, or just and parasites, and stomach infections, and illness. And it's
Yeah.
I think you and I are here in our own ways to sort of let people know that we are not remotely scratching the surface with India when it comes to those things. And how it is just such, it's like we were saying earlier, I was saying earlier, it's one of the largest countries in the world. It's the most diverse, with, I think, 22 languages, and, over 120 other languages. I mean, 22 official languages, 120 languages, 250 mother tongues, So can you imagine the stories and, the spirits that live in a land like that? And so, yes, of course, there's poverty. It's a developing nation, but there is, like we were saying, great, the tech and economically advancing country, and beautiful
Well,
cities.
it's the land of the rishis. I mean, the rishis did great austerities and there's no other place on earth where there were rishis,
Yeah.
like the original sages. This is the land and where avatars incarnate. I mean, there's no other place on earth with that. People have no idea. So when you touch this soil, you are on the most holy soil. And it used to be before a lot of the blessing, I guess it's a blessing and curse modernization, that it used to be a little bit more of an adventure to come to India, and you did have to do a lot more a lot more precautions for your health, because things were not as modernized as they are westernized. Unfortunately, now it's a little bit too westernized in my opinion, but for health wise, it's better, obviously, because especially the places we're going to be going, like that's another reason we're so fortunate to have everything completely from the moment you land till the moment you board your plane to leave at the end of the the adventure, um, that everything is so cared for, so thought out that this is not an issue with health. So obviously we're staying in, 5-star hotels where like everything, you have everything you need. Even if we didn't have a rock star travel agent as we do, we have both. So I mean, you couldn't be more cushioned on this trip in terms of, you're probably more cushioned than you would be in the US, just living your life precariously, having to go to a, with no health insurance, like a lot of people have, going to, a walk-in clinic. No, this, you have doctors on call, you have doctors in the hotel, everything's affordable, everything's right there. Like whatever you need, you have it, right? So you can speak a little more to this, but um, it's really, I mean, we'll give you like in terms of just like the biome, obviously it's another country, it's another reality in terms of, even though it is cushioned 5-star hotel, you're going to get any kind of food you want. It's not like you have to be like, oh, because a lot of people say, I don't eat Indian food. Well, anyway, the Indian food in India is not like the Indian food in the US. I always have to explain that a million times, right? It's not even remotely the same. But in these hotels, you have like, just like in any hotel, you're going to have complete variety, and any kind of food you want, we're going to get it for you. So that's not an issue.
Yeah,
Just so, yeah, maybe it's a good time to kind of segue into the Q&A type things.
I think that's why I wanted to make that point where it's like this beautiful confluence of the spiritual roots that people think in the yoga and the ashrams and stuff, but that modernity is available for the people that have fear around whether it's safe, and whether they're secure traveling there, whether there's easy access to things that they might want in real time. So I just want to allay those fears and to use that as a segue to go into, I think one of the fears that everybody has, am I going to get sick there? You hear things like Delhi belly and parasites and stuff, and I want to say that, first of all, there are no vaccinations required for you to travel to India. And so I know people have had that question, and that is because, like, you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
not sick. You don't need a COVID vaccine. You don't need to take your malaria pills. You don't need to take, whatever else you might.
Not going into the jungles or
You're
anything.
not
Yeah.
going to a farming village. You're not going to a rural area. You're not going to the jungle. Nothing is going to happen. You're in major cities. You're not staying in a hut. This is like, these are major cities, so you're going to be fine. To people's questions about vaccinations and medical and health, it is, we do have to say that please check with your healthcare provider if you have specific conditions, if there's something that you want to take, if there's something that you feel like you want to be extra bolstered by, if that is your priority, then of course, by all means, consult with your team. If there is, most people, for better or worse, have had their routine vaccinations, and that is, okay.
Yeah.
Um, and you can always look on the website of the CDC or ask your healthcare provider if there is something specifically that you feel like you need. But I
Yeah.
just want to let you know that it's not required, and that's because you will be okay.
Mhm.
In fact, we were laughing about this earlier. If you're coming from another tropical country, or if you're coming, so you're coming from an area where they have yellow fever, India will require you to present your proof of vaccination card to say that you are indeed vaccinated from yellow fever, so you're not bringing it into the country. So versus
Great.
versus you have to vaccinate yourself before getting to India. So
All
um,
right.
one thing of course, if you have specific questions about specific vaccines, please feel free to reach out to you, Shireen, or you can always ask me, message me, and we can always get back to you. But I think at a baseline, we can let people
Yeah.
know, no need to worry.
Nothing to worry about. Yeah, it's good to definitely debunk those myths. And also, just in terms of the weather, it's like people say, oh, is it too hot? Is it too this? Is it too that? It's like the dream weather at this time of year, which is also why we plan this, because I know a lot of people hear me like, I live in the South and I'm always complaining about being hot, but that's like during hot season in April when I'm like melting with no AC. But we're also, you're gonna have everything climate, temperature control. But anyway, it's like what I think 70s or 80s in the day, and then 60s at night. What I
Yeah,
saw.
upper 50s, yeah, like lower 60s at night. Really pleasant. It's a beautiful time to go. Every region has its own weather. We're going to the north of the country. November is a wonderful time to go. I know at one point we were considering doing this in July, and we were like, "Oops,
No, yeah,
that's
the
that's
rainy season.
that's not the best time." But so weather-wise, we don't have to worry. I would say, just like you're gonna be, hotels are chilly, bring warm, bring cool stuff to wear during the day, bring a layer like a shawl or a jacket or a sweater at night to keep yourself, when the weather drops a little bit. I just wanted to segue back really quick to the health, so just we can wrap that little part up. Is that we know about the vaccines. Another thing is people have been asking you, right? Like, what if I get sick when I'm in India?
Right.
Look, we're staying at some of the loveliest places ever. I don't think you can comprehend, you know, these like exquisite, iconic places full of soul and structure and safety and the best service,
That's
and
like service that blows
yeah, yeah,
even some of the best service in the West away, for sure.
and
Like the guest is God philosophy. So you like the difference with, I just want to say this because I think people have no idea. And I think that brings people back to India, like more tourist people, more than anything, is when they experience that love, like you said, the heart. That, like, for instance, I'll never forget one time when I traveled I was in Bangalore and I lost my suitcase, or the airline lost the suitcase rather. And the way the concierge he was more distressed about me losing my luggage than I was. Like, it's like he didn't sleep until I got that luggage back.
yeah,
I mean, where in the world do you experience that? His heart was in it. Like he was like a family member. And but that's normal.
yeah.
That's just like normal. And you can't fake that. Like that's not something, they're not paid to do that. It's like that's embedded in the Sanatana Dharma, the philosophy that God is pervasive everywhere and the guest is God, just like I mean, the crow is God, the guest is God. You really feel that love and that heart connection. So I think nothing will allay your fears more than knowing that you have that kind of. It's better than going to your family's house in a way because it's just like it's just so pure. The love is so pure.
Love is
Not to
so
say
like the guest is God. In Hindi, you say Mehman Bhagwan Samman. That's how you say it. Your guest is your. So imagine that you're going to an entire culture that like has that woven into the fabric of their being. Plus, now you're staying at some of these really exquisite facilities that have everything that you need. So, any food that you want to eat, if you have dietary restrictions, you can tell them if you're paleo, keto, autoimmune paleo, pagan, vegan, raw, anything, they will meet your needs. If you're on a low histamine diet or a low oxalate diet, you don't eat dairy. You can, you can, anyone who's going can let you know, you can let Roma and her team know, and we will inform the hotel staff, the room service staff, anybody about what it is that you need. Of
yeah.
course, I will remind people, you know, we're going to the best places. We're going to have filtered water. We're going to have bottled water available to us all the time. I think rookie mistakes young tourists make when they go, is that they'll eat off the street or they'll have, unfiltered water or they'll have raw food or, they won't be mindful of the ice in their drinks and things like that. But,
That'd be like you'd have to venture away from our tour group and go off in some kind of wild adventure for that to happen. That's not going to happen in any of our purview. Like,
so we have such a beautiful container set up where every restaurant, every place we go, you have everything you need available to you and the best of the best food, the best of the best service. So I don't think anyone really needs to worry too much about, having stomach issues or anything like that. Of course, if you're someone who, there's certain things, I would say if you're going to any country in the world and it's a new cuisine to you, just like low and slow it, but that's not India. That's not just for India. Um,
exactly. And
so
it's context. Like most importantly, like you said, like no matter where you travel, if you stay in 5-star hotels, you're pretty cushioned. Like no matter where you are, like they've got you. So you really don't even have to think about it.
yes, I don't know. And for on the odd occasion, should someone feel unwell, if something should happen, you know what I mean? Or if you get injured, say you fall, anything can happen, right? Even if you're not sick. Please know that the most wonderful and high caliber doctors are available to you at all times. We're staying at some of the best hotels you could possibly imagine. They all have doctors affiliated with them. The wonderful thing about India is that the medical system is always available to people. Doctors are amenable, affable, available to you around the clock. Chemists and pharmacies are open. If you would like to go to the clinic, you can. Doctors can also come to you. If you're feeling dehydrated, an IV drip can be brought to you. These are things that are, you have to jump through a lot of hoops to have access to this in the West,
I
particularly,
know.
and so people think like, oh my God, if I fall sick, I'm going to
Yep.
have all this like stuff that I have to deal with. No, you're not, because that's the beauty of India, you know? And
Yep. With my mind, like you can get anything, anytime, anywhere, like whatever you need. It's like, here you go.
I know I live in New York and I'm like, oh, I can get anything anytime here. And I'm like, it's the exact same thing in India. You
Yeah,
can.
yeah. Only India and New York. Those are the two exceptions of the world's like all the red tape where you're like, oh my God, and then you need like the primary care and then the prescription, and then you have to wait 20 million years to talk to that doctor and then try to get in that, and then it's $1 million for that, and then you have to go to Dwayne Reed, stand in a line for 2 hours. Where in India, it's like call the doctor. Like the one time I remember actually I was in where was I? I was traveling somewhere. I don't know. I was in a, and I wasn't even in a five-star hotel. I was in a nice hotel. Like it's still a very nice place. But I'd been traveling a lot and many different cities, and I was just run down. I didn't have COVID. I don't know what I had. Anyway, the hotel was so nice. They got a doctor. This is not even a five-star hotel. They got a doctor immediately. This woman came, she showed up, and I don't know, I didn't, she was just like, here, take this, blah, blah, blah. I took two things. I was like better in an hour.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why can't it be like that in the West? That was amazing.
I know, and I want to also let people know how much more affordable the care is there. So, you're not going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars out of pocket, So I will, of course, remind people that it is prudent wherever you go, whenever you travel, please get travel insurance. That's not specific to India. I think that's, if you that the reason I say that is because, if there are trip interruptions, travel delays, something happens with your luggage, again, not specific to India, this could happen anywhere. If you should fall sick, a company that I used this summer when I went to Europe was a company called AIG Travel Guard. That may not be the one you want to use, but if you're interested, I can send you the link. Um, but yes, you will have the diet taken care of, the bottled water taken care of, the wonderful doctors available to you. Everything is affordable. You will be bolstered and enveloped and should feel secure. Plus, please know that you will have representatives from the agency at every hotel, when you're checking in, at every airport when you're taking domestic flights. You will have guides taking care of you, letting you know where to go, what to do, what time we're leaving. So any questions, concerns, any clarifications you need, there is an entire like ace team on the ground, there for you around the clock. And this again is Roma Satara's specialty. I have seen her, like I said, have had a front row seat at her running groups for sometimes 400 people at a time, with varying different needs and energy levels and desires and plans and paces, and she handles it like a pro. So, and the wonderful thing is, everybody who goes on the trip will get to meet her on that first day, on day one of our orientation. So you get to know her, see her, know that she's there for you, any questions that you have. So, please have no fear. And you said this earlier, and I think it's important to remind people, neither is this just like your typical backpacking, I'm going to an ashram trip to India, nor is it am I just going to five-star hotels and a spa where it's soulless, you know?
Yeah,
And this is what makes the way that you and Roma have conceived of this retreat together so special.
best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds, yeah. These like
Yeah. That's why I didn't want to do a retreat in India until I could do it right, because I knew like it was the place, and I knew it's like you can't get a better soil, let's say, for this deep inner work. But I also wanted to make sure that I knew it wasn't gonna be the magic I wanted unless I also had the cushion and the like, the setting down and all the details down, because that's so important. And so that people wouldn't have to worry about a thing. And that combination of like the the beauty, the aesthetic. I mean, we're going to see like, especially in Jaipur and Rajasthan, like, I mean, there's no, I mean, it's like the dream for an artist, for designers, for, the Venus part of you. There's nothing more inspiring than the colors and the artistry, and Udaipur too, also both of these places, especially which is the heart of the trip. But just to say that within that, there's also these amazing temples there that we're going to, that when you have that combination or that juxtaposition, like it's like it just feeds you. It's like it feeds the it feeds both sides, I think, of our nature. You know, it's like it feeds the spiritual and the material, which are both part of us. So, and that's always been a part of my all my retreats, all my teachings, is that I don't think you exclude one for the other. I think it doesn't have to be like it's not, it doesn't mean it's not spiritual if you are in a beautiful setting and you're taken care of. In fact, that often helps you to go deeper into the inner work. I mean, there's a time for austerities, and I've done it and I love it. But there's also a time to have both. To bring both together can be sometimes the most healing, I feel.
Yes, and you're so good at that, like Venus Saturn combination where you
Thank
love
you. Yes.
have this like beautiful Venusian part of your life. And yeah, exactly in your chart. So who better to like, take us through this entire experience together where you are some of, I think in an interesting way, being in India, sometimes it like breaks your heart in little ways, because you see things that you may not have been used to see, but in a way that it stitches your soul up in ways that you also didn't know you needed sometimes. And it works. It just, anyway, we can talk about how spectacular India is and how complex and rich and profound it is. But I think the main part of this part one conversation, and I think maybe we'll do a webinar if people have questions, is
Yeah.
to let people know, first of all, great weather, allay any fears around health, to let you know no vaccinations are mandatory. Also, I wanted to let people know about visas. Like back in the day, it was harder to get a
Oh my
visa.
God, yes, that was a whole ordeal.
I didn't have to remember. I never needed a visa, of course.
I,
Right.
it was kind of part of that. It was fun though. I kind of missed that. It was part of the whole like initiation, like you had to go to the embassy and it was so exciting. You go back and get it the next day, but you wait in these long lines and you have your little period. But now you just basically go on a website and
Yeah.
24 hours later you have an e-visa, right?
Yeah, my Gemini nature has no patience for those long lines. I just want it like there's no
It's
excitement about embassies and consulates and stuff like that waiting online. But yes, it's an e-visa. I want to let people know that processing times can be up to 4 days, but it's still pretty fast. It's very affordable. There are, please find the one that you'd like. And this process is self-explanatory. There's nothing fancy schmancy that you need. If you have any questions, of course, please ask Shireen. You've gotten every kind of visa imaginable to India in the last.
exactly. I should be the expert at this point.
Yes, expert. I wanted to add one other thing. Yes, for the e-visas I just want to warn people, there are a lot of scam websites online. So please
Yes.
be very careful. The official site, maybe Shireen, you can put it in the right place. I'm going to see if I can pull it up.
India.gov, right? India
Yes.
Online.
Yes, it is Indian Visa Online. Sorry, indianvisaonline.gov.in. I'll say that again. It's indianvisaonline.gov.in. That is the official website. Please only use that. There is
Yeah, because there's a lot that look like there's one that says India.gov.in. I don't think that's right. Is it? That's something else. We need India.
So yeah, it is. I'll say it again. It's indianvisaonline.gov.in.
Yep.
And
Yep.
only place you go, please, even if you're not sure, go to the Consul General website that is in your area and put in e-visa, and then they will take you to the link for this website.
We'll put it under the video. We'll put the link. I'll put it in the. We can put it in the show notes. Your show. It's your show though. Yeah. We'll put it on my YouTube channel too.
Yeah, I just don't want people because there's a lot of things that look very legit and
Thank you. That's such an important point. Yes, very, very important. And any other questions like about like what to pack and all of that, like we can put that in the notes too, or feel free to contact me. But it's always good to pack as light as possible because you're going to want to probably buy a lot of things.
I will just say that on domestic flights in India, the baggage allowance is different than international flights, but have no fear. If you would like to shop, hotels will keep your luggage. And so you don't need to worry about that. Just want to make sure that you are not frozen, Shireen. Oops, did we lose you?
Hmm.
Oh, I hear you.
Right. Oh, you're actually not.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't. Maybe our key to wrap it up. Okay.
So do you think
well, we did well.
Yeah, do you think we covered everything that right away people might have any questions about? I don't know what I'm asking you.
I do.
I think. And again, be excited. We're landing on Diwali. It's like the Christmas of India. It's the Festival of Lights. It's the victory of light over dark, good over evil. So please know that you will be protected, taken care of, bolstered, enveloped, fortified. And on day one, we're going to attend a beautiful Lakshmi Puja, and have a wonderful dinner together. And, then begins our adventures as, a cohort that I think will become family for life, led by you and your incomparable teachings. So, yes.
Thank you so much, love. This was so wonderful. Yes, and everybody will be adorned in saris their first night too. Very
Oh,
excited.
yes, of course. We're going to be getting
You
people
don't
on.
have to bring it. We're this is part of it. You don't have to. People are asking me, do I have to bring something? No, no. We're dressing you up. We're providing
Well, we will
everything.
adorn you with all the beautiful ornaments and the saris. For the men too, you will get kurta pajama, which is the long Indian shirt, and the pants. I will just say, if you, for those of you who have signed up, please send your sizes to Shireen so that we can have the saris and the outfits arranged for you beforehand. So send sizes, send diets, and we'll make sure that you're taken care of beforehand.
Oh my God! Thank you. Yes.
I'm so glad. I hope you're still there.
Yay.
I hear you. You're a little
I'm still
glitchy.
here. Can you see me? Okay. Okay. Great.
Okay.
Great. Thank God it didn't glitch till the end, right?
I know. And you're still not, it's not too bad.
Stop recording.
It's okay. It's
Okay, we can stop the recording. Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Let me figure out how you stop. Ah, yes.